199. Let's do 198. All right. So that God's favor silences the critics. God's favor silences the critics. Turn this down just a little bit. All right. God's favor silences your critics. If God is for us, who can be against us? If God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31 says, what then shall we say in response to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? Let me make this larger so that you can see it every step of our way today as we think about, Father, thank you that your favor over my life is louder than every voice that has ever doubted me. Oh my gosh, what a great thought process when you're working on something and you're trying to move forward and you're trying to get where you want to get to. And we want to be thankful that his voice and his favor and his investment in our life is a much louder voice than all the things that are telling us, all the negative things, all the non-belief, all the things that say we can't do it. Every person walking in God's purpose will face critics, people who question the calling, people who understand the capacity, people who speak doubt, project limitation, and predict failure over a life God has already marked for favor. And remember how we've talked about how he moves forward before us, prepares a place for us, and then we go and we sit in the favor that he has prepared for us. But we can be derailed, right? Because if the tracks are, he says, go down this path and I have favor set up for you. And then we start down the path and somebody says no, or somebody says you can't, or somebody says you shouldn't, or somebody says that's probably not good for you to do. You've tried this before. You've embarked in this in your journey and it didn't work out the first time, so it's time to quit. And we veer off that path and we veer off this path, knowing that God may have something set up, but we can't see it because it's too far. God is already marked for favor, right? God's design has never been for you to silence your critics with words. It has been his favor to silence them with results. It has never been God's design for you to silence your critic with words. Oh man, that comes so true to me. It comes so thoughtful to me because when somebody, and I've been talking about the bad lady this week and what the things that she said and how good I felt about not responding. My wife even told me, man, I can't believe you didn't say anything back to her. And then this says it so eloquently that God's design has never been to silence your critics with words. You know, it's time to shut up and put up, right? It's time to stop saying all the things. And if you're going to say things to folks that you know are going to come back and criticize you just because you want to prove them right or you want to prove them wrong, right? Both ways work. Then how about just not saying anything? Because what it says, it has been for his favor to silence them with results. The promotion nobody saw coming. The door nobody expected to open. The blessing in front of the very people who counted you out. God's favor is the most powerful response to every critic you will ever face. It's so cool to do it afterwards and say, God did it. God accomplished this. God prepared the path for me, and all I had to do was go and sit in it, sit with it, be part of it. You don't need to tell everybody that what you're going to do as you get ready to do it, because then they're going to have words that are going to discourage you, right? I've had people in my life tell me my vision was too big, that my dreams were unrealistic, that I was not qualified enough, that the door I was knocking on was not meant for someone like me. Have you ever heard those words? The door you were knocking on is not for someone like you. You're not enough. You're not qualified. Your dreams are too big. There was a time when those voices got into my head and slowed me down. I spent energy defending myself, saying this is why I was going to do it, proving myself, trying to make things happen, trying to fit those square pegs into round holes just to prove that I was worthy. And I was trying to convince people who were never going to believe me anyways. They were never going to believe it. They're not going to believe that it's possible for God to do the things that he does. The day I stopped trying to silence my critics and started trusting God's favor to answer for me, everything changed. Everything is changing. Everything will change. I did not have to argue anymore. The open doors said everything words never could. How did you do that? You're so lucky. You know what? God's favor. And so what's happening here in our mind inside here, and we will mark it off in color and we'll bold it here. But research in cognitive psychology shows that ruminating on criticism activates the brain's threat response. And we talked about that so often, where when we dwell on something that we believe is a possible negative outcome, our threat response system wants to protect us, consuming significant mental energy and reducing the cognitive resources available for creativity, problem solving, and forward movement. When God's preparing the place, he still has to give us the tools, right? He gives us the tools so that we can walk down the path and sit in his favor. So not only has he prepared the place for us, he's prepared the tools that we need in order for it to do it. What are some of those tools? Creativity, problem solving, moving forward, seeing what could be and then moving into it, putting people in our way, putting people in our path who can help us down the journey, people who will believe in us. Like, I believe in you. Lean on what I'm saying to help you get to your journey instead of the naysay person who is stopping you from getting there. Every moment spent defending yourself against critics is a moment your brain cannot spend building what God's called you to build. Whew. Every time I dwell on the bad lady, every time I think about what she said, it's stopping me, right? And I'm just using that as an example because I'm not spending any time. She is renting no space in my brain. In fact, I even had to tell her, you don't get to ever speak to me as long as you live in your lifetime. God has said to remove you, and he has. Now, I hope God favors her, and I hope God gives her this incredible life, and I hope she moves on and she treats people better, but she doesn't get to rent space in my brain. And I would love to ask you, who is renting space in your brain based on what they said? Because your brain cannot spend time building what God has called you to build when you're spending time ruminating on what they say. So you got to releasing the need to be understood by everyone. Freeze your mind. Well, I guess I got to tell them why I'm doing it. I just got to tell them. They have to understand me. They don't have to understand you. They don't have to talk to you. They don't have to be anywhere near you. I hope this is resonating in your soul today. I hope that you can find times and think of places where this has been an issue in your life. And you need to move on to find other people who are going to speak life into you, because our brain can't do it, right? The brain can't do it. It has to spend time somewhere, and it doesn't need to spend time on that. Releasing the need to be understood by everyone frees your mind to focus on the one whose opinion matters most. All right, the heart condition today is you do not need everyone to believe in you. You maybe want them. They will believe in you when you show them what God did. You need the God who created the universe to be, created the universe and created you to be for you. And he already is. Where have you been spending energy defending yourself that you need to redirect toward trusting God's favor to answer? Practice. Write down the name of one critic or one voice of doubt that has been taking up too much space in your mind. Pray over that situation and consistently release it to God. Then redirect the mental energy toward one faithful step forward. Short prayer today. Father, thank you that you are for me. Help me to stop spending energy on critics and start trusting your favor to be my answer. I need to trust your favor to be my answer. Silence every voice that contradicts what you have spoken over my life and help me to keep moving forward. The blessing today is, may God's favor speak so loudly that it drowns out every word somebody else could say. So loudly over your life that every critic is silenced without ever having to say a word. Are you spending more energy on your critics than on your calling? Where do you need to trust God's favor to answer instead of defending yourself? And how has God's favor already silenced something or someone that doubted you? Ooh, what a great word for today. I'm going to put those questions in the comments here. I'm going to read them one more time just so you can see them and you can have them. Are you spending more energy on your critics than your calling? Where do you need to trust God's favor to answer instead of defending yourself? And how has God's favor already silenced something or someone that doubted you? So how are we going to live this today? You do not have to argue your case. You do not have to prove your worth. You do not have to convince anyone that God's hands are on your life. You just have to keep being faithful, keep moving forward, and let God's favor be the loudest voice in every room you walk into. The critics may be loud, but his favor is louder. Oh my gosh, what a great word today. I just want to read that one. You do not have to argue your case. You do not have to prove your worth. You do not have to convince anyone that God's hands is on your life. You just need to be faithful. You need to keep moving forward, and you need to let God's favor be the loudest voice in every room you walk into. The critics may be loud, but God's favor is louder. All right, let's move into